I went on to the Julianna Forlano show to discuss several issues, and one of the major issues we discussed was the pathetic state of the Texas government, meaning Greg Abbott, and he's running again. And we went through the draconian laws that he passed. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Greg Abbott is also the governor who signed into law one of the nation's strictest abortion measures. I mentioned it earlier, banning procedure as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Do you want to comment on what that is doing to Texans?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Texans right now, they're going north, they're going south. Well, if you live in South Texas, you're going to Mexico. If you live anywhere in the middle of Texas, you're kind of hosed, right? So you have to either go up north or whatever. But what this is let's call it what it is, right? It is an abortion bill for rich women. Because what it turns out to be is that we don't want to show our measly Texans that abortion is okay. But the wealthy ones, the ones who have kids in these wealthy schools, if they get knocked up, they can go ahead and fly somewhere, do it in secret in New York, or do it in secret in where you are, Connecticut, or one of these states, or Mexico, and then come back to the States. But the poor folk, the ones where abortion is an economical issue, because remember, as a woman, and I shouldn't be speaking, you're a woman, you know what I'm talking about.
I get it. You're just about to say, yeah.
It's an economic issue.
Yes.
So therefore, we have to realize that once we deny a woman's control of her own body, we're inflicting pain on her own personal economy. Mm-hmm. Is that right? You tell me.
Or a lot of women do not want to bear a child into poverty. Why would you want to bear a child that you then have to watch suffer? The government doesn't support the children. They don't support, they're trying to rip away public education. They're trying to rip away any kind of food assistance, electrical assistance. They can just freeze in the storm, but you can't have an abortion. It's insane.
It is crazy, but that's what we have in Texas.
I think Greg Abbott is just positioning himself for a presidential bid. Your thoughts?
Yes, he is. But I have to ask the question are these, we always talk about these guys not being necessarily as smart as they think they are. The country is not going in that direction as far as these draconian type of laws.
I hope to God not.
No, it's not. It really isn't.
The interesting thing is he's not going to CPAC, which apparently is only for crazies and Trumpites now. And, yes. Shamans, QAnon shamans are going to that thing. It used to be fairly serious conservative think tank, gathering of people I don't agree with. Now it's just for nuts, and he's not going. So I'm seeing that as him signaling that he's positioning himself as like a regular Republican, while at home he can still show his creds for trying to cut abortion as much as possible, trying to, trying to deregulate the utilities, trying to, do these go against the trans kids and all the other stuff we just discussed. Your thoughts?
Let me just put it this way, because I'm going to throw that back at you. That's the importance of your show, right? Because we won't allow them to do that. You're absolutely right. What you just said was a perfect answer, right? In other words, let's kind of look normal to everybody else. And in Texas, where we control how people can vote, we will let them do as they please. But Juliana says something else. You're going to be on my show. And not only that, we're going to make sure that the rest of America find out who you really are. And that's the beauty of independent media, because whereas others are going to cover things superficially, baby, you're going to get down into the gutter with those guys and say, you're not getting away with that. Most Texans do not support all of this, but unlike other states, everybody talk about voter suppression in Texas. First of all, voter suppression is real because they make it difficult. They don't do it in the olden days that we did with Jim Crow or anything. They just make it difficult. I'm here in DC for a while, taking care of my daughter who had a stroke. And interestingly, we registered to vote. Both of us did. Thank you. We both registered to vote. And in little letters, they said, after you fax your app in, you still have to mail it in. It must get here within 4 days. So an experienced voter like myself, trying to vote, they make it difficult. They make it difficult that if you have a Texas school ID, you can't use that as an ID. But if you have a gun permit, you can do it. Well,
get your gun permit.
Right, but it's funny because most
ridiculous.
Progressives, a lot of them won't spend the time on gun permits, but we do know conservatives love their guns. So that's another way of making sure that you have a certain type of people voting.
Fascinating. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. That's so interesting. I didn't know that. Thanks for bringing that to light.
That's a magic word that you just said. Death by a magic.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
1,000 cuts. That's it. Exactly right.
It's so disgusting what Abbott is doing. Let's remind everyone who Greg Abbott is and what he's done in the past. I actually brought up a little while ago that it was Greg Abbott who caused Texans to be ripped off during the Texas electric grid failure. Talk about that.
Well, let me tell you, because yesterday, and it's amazing that we planned to have me on today, long time ago, but yesterday, something great happened. The person who run ERCOT is the ones that control all the electrical distribution in Texas. You know, in Texas, we got to do things ourselves. We're big, bad, and ugly, right? Well, actually, big, bad, and pretty. We do everything ourselves. So we run the grid. Everybody else is on a national grid that splits the electricity on the left side of the country or the right side of the country. But Texas does it all on its own. Mm-hmm. We decided to have ERCOT run it for us. What ERCOT is really is an organization that takes a whole lot of private generators, put them together, aggregate them, and distribute it through our own lines and build the holy hell out of us. Well, during the freeze, we used a lot of electricity, a lot of gas things went down, and it turned out that the grid got overloaded, not because we couldn't handle the performance, but because our state hates regulations that forces these particular companies to do the right thing. So we froze. Now, what happened? On the day that we started to recover, we decided that even though we have recovered, we are going to allow this company to continue to pilfer Texans by charging them up to $1.9 billion over those 2 days that they should not have been charged, that what the market bears in the amount of electricity generated. We spend a lot. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed that mashup on El Senor Greg Abbott, because you know what? Greg Abbott is trying to get reelected again, and he thinks he's going to beat Beto O'Rourke. If Beto lays out all those draconian measures that you see our good old guy does, if he draws that out, then it is important. It is very important that we point those draconian things out, and then we start telling Americans what we are going to do. Texans, in the case of Greg Abbott versus Beto O'Rourke, what we are going to do. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.